picture of the real livery of this decal kit. They do give you 3 different liveries you can go off of. But anyways, I'm going to read some Wikipedia. So the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II was manufactured between 1958 up until 1981. Over 5,000 of them were made, and it was the most produced American supersonic military aircraft in history. It had a length of 19.2 meters and a wingspan of 11.7, and it could go over Mach 2.2. It was designed as an all-weather, long-range supersonic jet interceptor fighter and fighter bomber, and it was developed specifically for the Navy, but then later on the Marines and the Air Force took it on. At its debut, it set 15 world records for in-flight performance. It could carry 18,000 pounds or 8,400 kilos of weapons on 9 external hardpoints. It was mostly known for its role in Vietnam. All 5 fighter aces from Vietnam flew this plane. It was in service all the way up until 1996 in the Gulf War. 11 other nations have used this airplane, and 3 are still using this airplane today. So I have made many realistic model kits of this airplane as a kid. I just think it's a really mean looking machine. Partially you got the Tiger front end, but it's just brutal looking. It looks very big and menacing. Something about that underscoop, whatever that thing is on the bottom of the nose. Okay, well anyways, that's all I care to learn about the airplane on Wikipedia. So let's look into some of the packaging. I will say the box art is really cool. Whoever illustrated that, very neat. Yeah, not much else to talk about on the box. It's more about the instructions here. So you do get 1 page for the instructions and another one for the liveries. Putting this together so far, to my recollection, it's not the greatest fitting model kit. Putting the cockpit together inside there is easy enough because they're channels, they're not like locator pins. But it's such a wacky airplane design. So you have to join the front end to the back end and then add the wings to that. So it's not like, I don't know why they couldn't just make 2 halves instead of 4 halves, right? I just don't understand why they had to do it that way, but I'm not a mold maker. So we're not even done after you do that. Then you have to add the engine, the front ends of the engine, which are also 2 separate pieces. That I can understand there, but it's a lot of parts to put this together. Then there's a part for the back end, and then the wings and all that stuff. So they also give you parts to make it in flight mode and landing mode. I chose landing mode on this one. So, but I do wish like some of the armaments here could be better. Like the missiles are 2 pieces. You have to join these just to make a missile. They're so small though. I kind of feel like you could have molded it in a way that you don't have to join 2 pieces together, right? It's just a lot of work to put all this stuff together. Yeah, so you can have different loadouts, I guess, or mix it up, but I don't think I did. And it is cool that it comes with these little characters, these little pilot figures. They're not the most... There are better characters from the same brand. This must be an older model kit. The newer figures have like a transparent visor you can put on, but this is just 1 front and 1 rear half, and you have to paint all the visor stuff. So a separate arm though, you can adjust the height, and the little hose for the mask. Okay, so the liveries here, there's 3 kinds, and mostly it's this thing is all red and white. This one is very abbreviated in its thing, and then I went with the colorful rainbow one. So I did the Roosevelt Cagbird, alright, from 1976. Boy, I didn't even bother painting the missiles and stuff like that, but yeah, adding the decals to that. There's a lot of decals, that's for sure. It's a huge decal, well, a lot of decals. I can't say it's a huge decal sheet because it's a small model. Alright, let's get this box out of the way. So I'll start at the bottom here. I drilled out a 3mm hole there because I'm going to put it on a flight stand. And this is most of the, if not all, the loadout. I did a half-assed job painting this thing. I painted it white, and white has a hard time covering up plastic, so you can see some of the gray coming through. And then after that was done, I shot this gray on top of it, not trying to get the white, but since these are gray, see, a lot of it faded. So if I did that properly, I would have masked off the whole bottom, and I would have had these separate and masked those off, but I got lazy. And it's not a realistic model kit, so that's one of the beauties of deformed things. You don't have to take it so seriously. Anyways, yeah, it does take time to put these decals on, but it was done. And then I was sloppy cutting off some of the bombs. So some of these bombs are actually missing some fins because I clipped them off too much. I used some AK Interactive jet engine wash there. Okay, it does roll. Not that I care, but it does roll. And then the wheels are kind of weird. Like one half of it is with the wheel and the tire, and it's hard to paint. And then there's a separate part which is half the wheel. It would just be better to have one wheel and one tire that slides over it like a die-cast car has. It would be easier paint separation. Okay, so yeah, please, any experts, what is this thing here? You know, is some sort of sensor or an intake? And then you have these two side intakes as well. And that's what makes it really aggressive looking. Anyways, the shark fin, I've used a bunch of super strong Mark Fit from Tamiya, and still I have some wrinkles. I had to cut this in half. It comes as one piece, but there's no way you can get it to look like this, in my opinion, if you don't cut it in half. So still some wrinkles, unfortunately. And also this one, this is all one decal here, but there's this indent. So I ended up cutting it, but there's still a bunch of wrinkles here as well because, you know, it's curving. And that's, this side ended up better, but yeah. There's no way around that though. It has to be one decal because it's one like arrowhead shape. Alright, and now these red wingtips, they do have decals for them, but they're just impossible to lay on. They're so small, so it's just faster and easier just to paint them by hand. I used a red paint marker, and it worked fine. So I suggest that. But this yellow thing is a decal, and it wraps around underneath some sort of side lights or something. Because I glued the fuel tanks on before I painted it, I had to cut this decal off, and I just threw out the rest. And there could be one that's supposed to be here, but I just didn't bother putting it on. You know, no, maybe not. There isn't anything saying Navy there. Alright, some air pockets under these decals. Unfortunately, I didn't lay them on well. This one I lucked out a lot, but this one, no, air pockets got trapped in there. So I'm just afraid that if I roll out all the water, I'm going to tear the decal. So the decals on this one, they weren't the thinnest, but they weren't very thick either. So I was really worried about tearing the decals. So that's why I have air pockets in there. If I did this a second time, I suppose it would, I think you should try to roll out the water underneath here in the air pockets. Okay, this one I actually did mask off this and painted this black area because there's no decal for it. It's strange because they provided the black decal here, here, and here, but they didn't provide this black decal, so you have to paint this part yourself. But they did provide this red. These red things are decals, so kind of weird, right? They could have easily added that decal, and it would have made life easier. What else? This curvature here is pretty drastic, so I had an air pocket, so I ended up cutting this with a hobby knife on both sides to get it to lay down better. But you'll see a little bit of the clearness of the decal edge is hanging off here, even though I used that Mark Fit stuff a bunch of times to try to fold it over. This is all in the clear coat now, so I'm not too worried about picking at it. Alright, so anyways, it's nicely deformed. The wingspan of this deformation is around 10 centimeters, so it's actually narrower than a lot of the Hasegawa egg planes. Let's see, let's take this out. So here are those pilots. You could pose the head, you know, rotate them, but in this they got some hoses and stuff, and they're grabbing the flight sticks. And there are decals. It's hard to see here, hold on. Yeah, see instruments there, and instruments way up in there. Sorry if I lost focus. But the little plastic piece that's supposed to go here for the heads-up display, it was so small I lost it. So I took a clear piece of plastic from a different model kit and just glued it in there, and I just used a blue marker to add color. It's probably supposed to be green, but whatever. Alright, so nice big tabs there. This brand though is pretty good with the cockpits, at least better than Hasegawa, because they raised the part, or they recessed the clear, I don't know, one or the other, so you can have good color separation. You can add masking tape in here and then cut the excess off, or I used masking fluid here, but this is very thin, so I had to go back with a hand paintbrush and paint that line. I think if I did this canopy again, I would just hand paint it all. But you want to use primer. I didn't primer any of this, and that's why the gray fell off here. If I actually put primer down first, I probably wouldn't have to go back and add the gray. It's very, I could probably peel that off with my finger if I touched it too much. So definitely primer all your parts. But yeah, this is good. Good to have a nice raised edge, so you can remove excess paint or mask it off easier. Okay, well, all in all, it's pretty cool actually. I like it. So just to compare, from the same brand, you have this Starfighter here, and so this has the more updated character, whereas a separate headpiece, a separate helmet, a separate visor, and there's also a clear visor you can put over there and a mask, but I put a decal in instead. The thing rolls, I don't care about that. And then Hasegawa, here's the F-86 Sabre with a custom livery I did with a bunch of excess decals I had. But the egg planes, they literally are supposed to look like eggs. There's like no panel details on this thing. It's just smooth like an egg. So it's kind of weird. And then it's just excessively wide, I think. It's just too big. If you're going to make a deformed thing, I think try to make it smaller. I don't know, maybe it's because my channel is called Small Model Collector. So, yeah, I feel like, the Hasegawa is just kind of off on its own, because this would be a smaller plane than an F-4. But these being from the same company, this makes sense. The Starfighter is a pretty small plane compared to one of these behemoths. So all in all, I can recommend this kit. I mean, it comes with a lot of parts. So if you like building model kits, this actually has a lot of parts, and you can spend a lot of time detailing this and painting it correctly and all that stuff. I just am too lazy for it. There's actually decals to put rings on each of those bombs and numbers on each of those bombs, but I skipped it. It's just I'm lazy. And I also painted it much too dark of a gray. I know that. It's supposed to be a light gray. I've seen F-4 Phantoms in real life. But I just had to use the Vallejo paint that I had. So, I probably should have bought the proper paint. But whatever. Anyways, I'm going to stick with it for now. And that's it. So, hopefully we'll see you the next time we do a Freedom deformed airplane.